All right. I am going to call the Plan Commission for October 4th, 2021 to order. Roll call, please.
President Jay Lenko.
Here.
Trustee Judy Kelvin.
Here.
Commissioner Todd McQuay.
Here.
Commissioner Bernie Garcia. Here. Commissioner Cameron Berkman.
Here.
Commissioner Seth Johnson. Here. And Trustee Bill Bush.
So we do have a quorum though. So let's stand for a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the Plan Commission on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes. While the Plan Commission encourages input from residents, it may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda. Do we have anybody?
I do not have anyone who signed up for our public comment. I do know that we have two with us on Zoom.
Okay.
I don't see any hands up.
All right then. We will go to general business. Approval of the minutes from September 7th, 2021 Plan Commission meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Do I have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the September 7th, 2021 meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. So moved. Number 2, discussion and possible action regarding the conceptual plan for lot 70 to 77 in the Creek Crossing subdivision for a planned development district with an underlying district of duplex residential 6. So this is what I'd like to do. Bill, I'd like you to give an overview. Jeff is here to answer any questions. We'll start with you, Bill, then we'll take a motion once we have that.
And Matt Schreiner from Beer Becker's on phone. He's our engineer.
Oh,
Available
okay.
for questions also.
All right, thank you.
All right, so we received, an application or conceptual plan for full plan development with underlying base district of duplex residential 6. A little bit of history here. When the village approved this plan, we approved it with understanding that these lots would eventually be developed into duplex lots and therefore had discussed certain flexibilities from our duplex residential 6. This agreement or this proposal was set up through the village's development agreement with the developer. And so you'll see as part of your packet, the developer submittal for developing these 8 lots. On page 17 are the flexibilities are being asked of from the DR6 district. What the PV district allows us to do is to negotiate the flexibilities for potential items that the village board or the planning commission that go for desire in order to construct this project on said property. That being said, the effort that is being put forth by the developer is hopeful that the conceptual plan here they submitted above and beyond what's required by ordinance for the conceptual plan. By an effort at doing so, would hope to bring the zoning application to the next plan commission in November. So there is a large amount of detail that's in your packet. Again, we can start out with the flexibilities and then kind of go through the documents as we see fit.
Well, I guess what I'd like to do is go to page 17 that has a list of all of those. And I guess I would like to have a better understanding on exactly what we're getting up. I do not want to assume anything.
Sure.
So I guess I'd like to go through because like I say, I'm confused in how in 2 lots you get 13 units, dwelling units, unless I'm not reading this correct, when it states that we should have 6. So I guess I need for us to go through this and actually figure out what they're asking for, why, and the
Yeah.
impact.
So, and Ben, you can jump in, Ben is your consultant on the board, yeah, for as a board planner. The items listed under the duplex residential 6 building in this column here are in the regular district, so this is what's required, they had requested for a plan development. On this side, there are the flexibilities that they're asking for, as you can see on the plant map, lots 70 or 75. Are difference in that is lots 76 and 77. And so answering Jay, your direct question in regards to 6 dwelling units per acre, 9 dwelling versus 9 dwelling units per acre, 13 is based off of type of dwelling that's in that particular lot. So I imagine that the developer had population to see what that ratio is.
So just help me out. So lot 76 and 77, is that gonna be, each of those is gonna have 1 dwelling of 28 square feet?
Each unit, so each lot will contain a unit. The units will have a shared party wall, thus a duplex on the lot. So 70, on lots 76 and 77, there will be 1 building that looks like the photos that I've provided to Bill.
Okay, it's gonna be 1 building, but 4 units in that building.
2 units.
But for each lot or for both of the lots? So do you have 2 for 76 and 2 for
So when
77?
you put up a photo, that's the best way to.
Four buildings, 8 units total.
Yeah.
And it's 2.
So
1 unit per lot.
if I can walk up here, this, yeah, right where he's got his cursor, that is the lot.
Right.
Here's lot 76, here's lot 77.
So.
Oh.
2 homes,
No.
not 4, is it 4 residents? No, is it 4
It's 2
people?
units, 1 dwelling unit per lot.
Correct.
Just 2
Oh.
lots.
The
But it's a
density,
duplex, it's only 2 people.
yeah,
Right, it's
Yeah,
only
it's-
2 homes.
Two 1,476 square foot, 2-bedroom units.
So a total is 28. So 28, so divided by 20, which is your 14. So
Yeah.
it's a duplex of 14.
Correct.
Ben,
Okay. So then for 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, and 75 is the exact same.
Exact same.
But the difference is there'll be 1,900 square feet.
Each unit is about 1,700 square feet. A main living area, he's got plans, but and
Yeah.
2 bedrooms upstairs. The twin, in the duplex, they're all exactly the same.
Okay,
So your question to density per acre is deceiving because each lot is radically different in total
size.
acreage.
gotcha. And that's just if you were to have an acre of these in 76, 77, there'd be 13, 12.
Correct.
Right.
Gotcha.
But they're much smaller than that, yeah.
So across
Yeah.
8 lots, there will be 8,
Yeah,
let's call them apartments, they're, 8 units, right?
yep,
Split up into 4 buildings.
okay, I'm following that. So let's go down to the lot frontage, and that's because they're smaller. So each unit has 32 feet in front of it, so 64 for the whole building.
So lot frontage is a function of the size of the lot that was approved with the plat. So
So 32 feet is the frontage of 1 lot.
Okay,
Right,
okay,
So a building will
One
have
of the
64
duplexes
feet.
It's gonna be 32, even though, so 32 each, so it's 64 on one. So
Correct.
together
One
they're
building,
64.
correct. Right.
So we're 32 in front of one unit, 32 in front of the other unit, is how we're
Correct.
All right.
Yes, but 77 is a little less than 72. so
Right, I
it's a
can
little
see they're
more.
not balanced. Yeah, okay, all right, that is making sense. All right, then you have the setback is 15 feet instead of 25, and that's from the curb or from the sidewalk back. And I saw your photo where it shows them closer, so you can drive behind them.
Correct.
We don't have all the garages in front.
Right.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about with that 15, right? It's only 15 feet off the sidewalk.
Right.
All right, and then the side you want 7 feet, and I guess, is that between the two, each,
Yeah, so what?
every two lots, right?
what do you
Because they're
get?
together.
That's why it's 7 and 0, so 0 between, obviously
Yeah,
the
obviously,
0. And then, so it'd be 14 feet between the buildings.
Okay,
The photos of Fitchburg, it's only, Matt, it's, I think it's 10 feet, it's,
okay,
do you recall? Yeah, so the product the group I'm representing developed in Fitchburg, had them much closer together.
all right. Okay, so that's why you have the separation of 14 feet and 0.
Mhm.
All right, so now the next one is 5 feet, but you actually want it to go to 2.5 feet. Right.
In one instance, so if you look
And what are we talking about here?
yeah,
So this is a pavement setback from the property line. And then in one instance, you're talking about the driveway, this dark area. In this space right here, it gets down to 2.5 feet from that property line. And this is how that lot line sets up.
Oh, so there's no house in that one?
no.
Yeah, so
Do you
that-
mind if I step up and just kind of?
Yeah, because I want to understand this before, because,
So the units, front the street, sidewalks, front porch, you'll get to your garage, at 2 points off the street. Each of these units has a large 2-car garage.
yeah,
In front of the garage is a 9-foot wide concrete apron, where if someone, brings groceries in and they don't want to park the car or they're running in the house, you can pull into your 9-foot parking stall in front of your garage.
long way,
Long
length
ways,
way,
yeah,
yeah.
long way, but, and one of the concerns of staff was we don't want to block the driveway.
Right,
So you can pull in, you can temporarily park there. The legal document we provided specifies that there's no overnight parking, it's simply for temporary parking.
right,
The item you're on, has to do with this point. This is all, that's outlot,
yep,
that's been dedicated to the village.
yep,
So, we are 2.8 feet off the property line there.
and where are you 5 feet from?
Everywhere else, I mean, we're way more than 5 feet.
But to the outside, not to the homes?
To the property line.
So our setbacks are concerned about the asphalt and pavement to the property line. We don't have a setback requirement in our home and asphalt.
Okay,
Right, and in most instances, it would apply to something like a patio or something like that, where you wouldn't want to encroach on the side lot line, for instance, more than 5 feet, to give that buffer kind of space between the two lots.
And if you scroll down, Bill, that's the reason, actually go up to lot 70. That's how we ended up with this condition, because in the first iteration of plans that the staff saw, this driveway was down here, it was too tight.
oh, I
It
see,
was too tight on this guy's patio. So by moving it, we're encroaching, or we're, getting closer to this, outlot property line, which, that's just,
so,
stormwater.
and that's the trail right there, how far are you from the trail?
Well, if that's 20 feet, we're, was it 60 feet? from the trail from the house?
Okay, okay,
It's about another 15 feet. from the property line along the trail.
Okay,
Another reason why we wanted to soften the curve here is the comment from EMS and EMA here to the garages. We want to make sure that they.
how wide is that? So it's 9 feet long. What's the width of it?
Each unit is, Matt, do you have a scale? I think each.
No, the part that you're parking in.
Yeah, right, that's. I think it's, well, the garage is 24, so it's 20 by 20, 24 feet.
That pull-off is 24 feet wide?
No, the long, so it's 9 feet wide.
Yeah,
And either 22 or 20, it's the length of the garage, so
Oh.
it's 22 or 24 feet long behind the unit.
no, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I guess, so is it the 9, I thought that's a drive, so that's 9 feet wide.
Yes.
That was, okay, I got it mixed up, okay.
Yeah, so that allows you to get your car
Yeah.
out of everyone else's way.
Gotcha, that's what I was.
Is
No.
it two-way or is it a one-way?
It's two-way, it's
Okay, so
20 feet, so it's doable on
But that's
Then
private, so you
a.
deal with it.
We,
Then who plows that?
the document we have, the owner, so it's either, the idea here is that these will be rentals. And the owner will do all landscaping, all snow care, take care of it, so, a tenant doesn't have to deal with any of that stuff.
So when you say owner, they're already sold and they're gonna build all of them, right? Or are you selling them individually?
No, one ownership is going to build all of those
That's right.
duplexes in 2 phases. So
Yeah, that's what I, okay,
the idea is these 2 get built over this winter. And the thought behind that is to get this end done, and that gets paved, that's finished, it's fully landscaped. And then construction traffic for these 2, the following year come in from the south, and then there's no conflict with the tenants.
are all the checklists gonna be done on the development to be issuing permits? I thought they had a,
Yeah, so there's a requirement that street and utility get done and get approved before any building permits start. And so right now, we're simply considering a conceptual plan for the zoning of this. Building permits will actually not be issued until they check out all.
yeah, okay, all right.
And I owe you the latest weekly update from Christie, and they're confident that they're on schedule.
So I see that it's a separate LLC that's doing this, than that's doing the whole development.
Right, this is coincidentally, the whole development has nothing to do with this. I'm representing this ownership group in getting their approvals.
Okay, are you part of this ownership group?
But I'm working on that, yeah.
Okay, because I mean, the documents are in your name and
Right.
I don't know, there must be a family name that's
John
the,
Drake is the managing partner.
okay. All right, but I just saw the legal documents had your name and I don't know if it's a family member, Melanie is.
Yes, my wife.
Okay, so I figured you would be part owner, or I'm not sure how the documents would, those kind of documents would not be part of the LLC.
Right.
All right. So tonight, just so I'm clear, all we're saying is we're okay with the conceptual part of this, including those modifications to what would be the standard duplex zoning, right? Am I using the right terms?
Correct, so the developer has submitted all of the material that's enough to get us through general development plan and the specific implementation plan. However, it's being submitted in a conceptual format to provide us an opportunity to comment, if you ever make any changes before the official applications. And so decision tonight would be if there are any changes, to suggest it. If not, then a recommendation of conceptual plan. For the board.
So we're not doing a developer's agreement tonight. Okay.
There's not gonna be
It's a-
a development agreement at all in this situation. The development agreement was with,
Right.
the subdivision. The CP Townhome LLC is simply providing the documents for rezoning this to the planned development specific district within our zoning code, be able to construct these structures on the.
Okay. And I thought has our village attorney looked at these? Because I got an email, I can't remember if it's this one or a different document. They had problems with a couple of the paragraphs in the legal description.
That's it.
That's a different one, okay. Oh, that's right, yeah.
So the staff has seen the attorney, the planner, the engineer, public facilities, parks and rec. We had our review, I think this concept was submitted and over. We had our sheet edit, we had it go back and provided the changes that we asked for. That's the reason why we're here.
All right, I didn't want to hog. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Seth.
A few. For the PDD zoning, according to the zoning ordinance, it's in exchange for flexibility, we're supposed to get a much higher level of site design, architectural control, and other aspects of aesthetic and functional excellence. What are the things that we're getting? I assume like is the rear loading garages something that we're considering like an improvement?
Yes, the
Curious
previous
about that.
plan commission saw it that way, yes.
Okay. Does the driveway need to be, have 2 access points for like emergency response purposes, or is there a possibility of getting?
Well, we saw it as a convenience for not only the people who live there, but trash pickup and plowing. It's very difficult to plow dead end streets, turning equipment around and stuff
The
like
reason I'm asking about that is on the page 17, it shows that the lots 76 and 7 only have 2,800 square feet per dwelling unit, but the other lots are 3,800. But I saw it looks like it's just one floor plan. That's the same for all 4 or all 8 units.
That's correct.
So is that one of those numbers a mistake? 3,800 or 2,800? Except at the very top thing.
They just shaved 500 feet, I'm guessing.
No, that's a. Yeah, that is a typo. Each unit each building is exactly the same.
Oh.
Matters are.
That's the lot area.
Right, but if
So on 76 and 77, there's a smaller total lot area than there is in the other lots
okay.
for their
But
calculations.
the floor plan for all of them are the same.
Yes.
Exactly.
I was all.
That's what I'm saying, it's very confusing.
It's all related questions. I guess one thing I would like to have seen is maybe a little more variety. Like, we have 2 bigger lots that are maybe accommodating bigger units that we can support more of a family size.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And so, I mean, 2 bedrooms, all 2 bedrooms, doesn't limit the market for some of those. I just was wondering if there's a chance to make a couple bigger units on bigger lots. The driveway takes that away from the bottom 6, and then maybe have a little bit of room on 76 towards Angeles Way. But it's kind of all related just to see if there's a way, because there's no usable yard, and because I know it's close to the park and stuff. So, but that drive, the rear access takes away basically a yard. So it's just wondering if there's an opportunity to offer a little bit more flexibility or variety. But otherwise, overall, I think it matches what we have sold for. So I really have big concerns about it. That's more tweaks.
Did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, we're it's a function, the units are a function of the lot sizes. And the ability, there is not an ability to do a ranch style, let's say, because of the width of the lot.
I'm fine with the two
Yeah.
story, I just thought maybe you could actually get a couple of two story units that are a little bigger to offer more of a family support.
And in our experience with these units, it's young in Pittsburgh across 12 units. It's I did the mental calculation in my head coming over. We've got 4 families with babies. We've got 2 units with empty nesters who split time between, this rental and traveling. And then the rest are, I'll call it, young professionals. Each unit has a full basement, and so the empty nesters like it for storage purposes. The young professionals like the 2-bedroom because each bedroom has, they each have large walk-in closets. They each have their own ensuite, full bathrooms, laundries upstairs, which everyone likes. The main floor is a traditional open concept with fireplace and obviously full kitchen island. So these have been built to call it condo quality, the ability to, if there was a desire at some point to sell them, they're condo quality.
And I know that he's referencing his development in Fitchburg, but this is a very common style throughout Dane County and has been utilized in a lot of different communities. And so I just wanted to reassure everybody that this is not a new product that is being experimented here. It's proven pretty well across Dane County at this point in time.
Anybody else have any questions?
Is there any,
Comments?
is there any parking concern if some of these lots have some people over, they're not gonna be able to park on that back private drive, it's too small.
There's street parking.
Yeah, is there enough on Angelus if there's a few cars that need to park up front?
The last I knew, the north side is going to be no parking. And the south side would have parking. So you'd be able to park all the way between the two.
I thought we listed that in the parking statement, that.
I thought
We originally had it in the development agreement. We took it out because we wanted to regulate it.
Oh.
So we did list it.
We did look at, but the village board and planning commission. Once we take the dedication out. It was originally planned.
I thought we just moved it out of the agreement to the ordinance. 60 feet.
Streets.
No.
So that's got to put it terrace.
Yeah. It's full, it was regularly 66, right away it went to 60, right?
I think it's. All right.
And that's why we were talking about having limited parking, because it's a little smaller of a road. And I do not want to have another Lawson Road.
That Michael's the one that said he was a big.
Yeah.
So there's no concern about, you get 4 or 6 cars over there, maybe constantly or whatever, because if people went in and out of the different units, that road will have some blockage. Like lot 55, I think, and 54 won't be upset because they can't drive to their house efficiently or something. No, that's fine.
I don't see, they're giving 2 spots, and some of the apartment buildings we looked at have been 1.87.
Spots.
Yeah, per spot, per
Okay,
unit,
sure.
so, some of those are 3 bedrooms.
And we had this conversation at the staff level as well, and whatever ends up happening across the street, we're going to advocate for on-site parking in that situation with the multifamily development, if that takes place across the way, to alleviate potentially causing more on-street parking demand in this situation.
Anybody else? All right, why don't we have a motion? Can someone make a motion, please? I think we do, move it to the
Yeah.
board.
So to move it to the board, and then the board will have their go at it, and they will then make motion to instruct the developer to move on to general development.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the conceptual plan for lot 70 to 77 in Creek Crossing subdivision. All right, any other discussion? Let's do a roll call vote. I'm not sure where we're going, but sorry, Bill, I just can't get a flavor for the room.
Alright, trustee Kettleborg,
Yes.
Commissioner DeQuinn,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Bjorklund,
Yes.
and Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
And I'll do a yes too.
Oh,
All right, thank you, Joe.
Thank you for giving us.
I know, I'm easy to forget. I'm kind of a mouse here sitting in the corner. Yeah. All right, discussion and possible action regarding the extraterritorial jurisdiction review for a proposed certified survey map for 8009 Airport Road, Cross Plains, Wisconsin. Let's just take a motion. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to accept.
Do I have a second? All right, we're at a motion. We have a motion and a second. Bill, you want to just
Yeah.
quick fill us in?
I'll give a quick fill in here. So this application actually came in from Dane County as one, but they're two separate certified survey maps. Owned by Mr. Davy in the town of Cross Plains. This map here probably shows where the best, where that location is. So this is the north CSM proposal, combining two lots. And then what they're calling the south certified survey map proposal is this 40 acres here, they're subdividing. So similar to other ETJ reviews, we did look at this, it doesn't conflict with our thus far proposed official mapping, but since that map is not adopted at this point. And then along with their certified survey map request, they are requesting for zoning changes.
All right, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Judy.
Does this mean like he's gonna end up coming, like his address even, he's on Airport Road, but will he be coming, will his address be the 8050 borough? Like, so he's
No, I think, let's just talk about the Airport Road one first. The borough one's the next one. I don't want to get things mixed up, even though we talked about both of them. The
okay.
motion is just for the 8009 run right now. Does anybody have any questions with that one? All right, so we have a motion to accept it, and second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. All right, now we're on discussion and possible action regarding the extraterritorial jurisdiction review for proposed certified survey map for lands on and around 8050 Borough Road, Cross Plains. So go ahead, ask your question now.
Well, I'm so confused. So I'm confused on this driveway. Does it come off of borough or will it come off of there?
So that's what it's showing here. So it's actually 3 lots with the right of way here. So if you look at the survey map here, it shows an extension for Hope Road.
Isn't that just an addition to the earth homes currently?
Right, so when
Right.
you go up to Earth Homes, that's borough, but then you come Airport Road, and so he's on top.
Yeah, so I think there's actually a 40 in the two.
Yeah, he's pretty far away from that.
Right, so he's not extending borough.
I don't believe so. They are.
Oh, you don't think he is? I think-
don't know.
I think he would take Burr Oaks into his development there. That would make the most sense.
Yeah, it's showing that. It's showing that there's actually borough road into the.
Yeah, okay.
So it comes to the top of.
I think Judy, what you're talking about is, so if you look at a map, it shows that there's some right away that connects the two parcels.
So he's way on the top of the hill. This is a big hill, that's.
Yeah, because it looks like he's actually 2 sections away from Airport Road.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good distance, so I don't think he's traveling that way. I think he's traveling through the earth homes.
Okay.
I'm just guessing, but that's, looking at this, it seems logical.
I mean, that's what it shows.
Yeah, all right. Did we do a no, we didn't do a motion. Okay, do I have a motion? for
So
that?
moved.
All right, I have a motion to accept the full certified survey lands on and around 8050 Burr Oaks. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Besides what we've already had. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Number 5, discussion and possible action regarding the extraterritorial jurisdiction review for a proposed certified survey map for 4480 Diamond Pass Cross Plains. Do I have a motion? Okay.
You want a presentation on this first?
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the certified.
I'll second.
All right, so now go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a boundary amendment here. Lot 1 is the petitioner. They are purchasing this part of what was previous a separate lot. So it's from Greg, from Gary Garner, they're purchasing that from. They're combining their lots together and then separating them from.
I'm really confused on this one.
I don't even know where that road is located.
That's off of P there.
It's off station.
It's off Facebook.
Okay, but I mean, you can see it from P.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't understand. So each of them own part of it?
So Runner owns this section here. Let's do this way.
Okay,
And so this section here is the section that he's selling.
oh,
Being combined with this lot.
That's a weird shape.
oh. Okay, go back to that map, please.
Do you say what the point is, does he want to develop or?
Now, show me on this where we were at one time looking for a solar farm.
Oh, no, that's way over.
Yeah, that's north of this.
That's,
property.
yeah. That's,
That's north of this property?
That's.
Yeah.
north.
Well, it can't, I mean, I see the railroad tracks in the track.
So we're.
How far north? Scroll down to show
Everything was
Stagecoach.
closer to the railroad tracks, you're right, just east
This is
of the,
Stagecoach.
Right.
the south of that. This is like if you're going,
Let me pull up a map.
But you come out of town and it's on the left-hand side, right?
yeah, but
So
then
you got the
get
swamp and then you
lot,
got
that's
Gary's
lot.
farm.
Right, but then there's a lot there, rather than going up to like.
Oh, he's on the other side of the
He's on other
hill?
side, yes, on Stagecoach, on the south of Stagecoach,
I think he's on the backside of Wayne's house. There's
yes.
another house that was built back in there.
Yeah,
I think.
and Drew's house.
Alright,
Yeah, Michael Drew. All right,
so the property, the petitioner owns this property. This here.
Where's Stagecoach? Show me, okay, Stagecoach is right here, where's
Yeah,
Stagecoach?
yeah.
So you are,
So this is Diamond Pass.
yeah,
He owns
just
this
to
lot
that, right?
here. He's purchasing this section. What it looks like.
Okay, but just show me where we were looking at potentially the solar farm.
We were north of that, and that was discussed in closed session, so.
Oh.
that's the time.
Okay, understood. I thought that was already out, but.
He also owns the piece underneath of the house, that's his house.
This is a separate parcel. Well, actually, yeah.
No, 'cause he's combining that, yeah, he wants to combine all that together.
Oh,
So he's basically buying more privacy for his backyard.
okay.
So
I
it
mean,
looks
when I
like,
first seen that, like, why would you want, but now that it's sort of extending, okay, I get it. But it's not, I mean, it's still moving up acres to develop and put it in the house.
That's all it was like.
and he's combining it all in one lot, right? So.
All right, good enough. Now I understand it. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same, so move. All right, number 6, we go into discussion and possible action regarding land use table in chapter 84 of the Village of Cross Plains Code Ordinance. For some of the newer members, we spent probably the last 4 or 5 months going through each of these and looking at them. I think what I'd like to do tonight is at least start talking about the comments that we received. I think that's the route to go. I don't want to restart everything. So let's just go to start with it's PDF page 71. And just start with the comments that you see in the pink and the blue.
Yeah, so just some clarification. I know that during a meeting that we had talked briefly about the potential of creating a separate park district from the conservation district because some of the uses are different. Whenever there's a subdivision that would require conservation land and park land, 2 separate items. You'll see throughout the document, there are suggestions that that's provided to allow in the conservation district that are more friendly towards the more active park type use than it is all conservation. So we had wanted to ask the question if we should be making that change here, or if we should be creating a separate park district, or if we should be keeping those uses to making those uses to within the conservation. The philosophy.
So looking at the comments, it seems like the easier option is to expand usage in conservation district. Otherwise, we'd have to rezone all our current parks, if I'm reading that correct.
Yeah, so that would be the easier way to do it. However, then we must think about potential park uses that may conflict with conservation and limit those to condition.
Yeah, I don't have a concern with that.
So again,
I think sometimes we have taken property and made it that listing without really having it. And then I think there's been times where that land probably could have been used for more of a nature, more natural park stuff. I'm thinking of cross-country trails and stuff like that, so.
and then the other picture is, so not all conservation districts are plumbed. So we have some properties in the village that are in the conservation district that are privately held. And so we need to be thinking about all those things kind of at the same time when we're allowing additional uses in conservation.
Yeah, but if it's private, what would that apply?
It does. Those conditional uses apply as long as it's known that this.
So if someone has that, they could change the zoning right up to the property,
They can petition to change the zone.
and we would tell a private person that they couldn't change from
So then,
conservation to ag or something?
so it would be a legislative decision like how we are making tonight on the land development or any other type of zoning change. And the issue that comes in is if someone has property that's in conservation. So one that comes to mind is the property on Birchwood. It's in a C. So part of the property about half of it is in the conservation district. And therefore, there is a conflict when initially it's only its conservation to try to conserve the hillside, but if we're allowing additional uses in other conservation districts, then by rule, we have to allow it.
So what the concern would be, if we allow, let's say, biking in that, they could open up a private bike track in there.
They have to apply, so whether it's permitted or whether it's conditional, they would have to. If it's conditional, they would have to come in and get a conditional use permit.
Kind of like the swimming pool, is what you're saying, well, that gentleman can go assessing about the swimming pool, that back there.
Yep.
Yeah, so a lot of communities utilize a conservancy district to inherently restrict the uses as much as possible to conserve land. So it would be a restrictive district that would not allow for very much to happen. On the other side, we want active public uses to be allowed in that district and things like that. And so what we could do is allow those uses like Bill's talking about within the conservancy district and continue to have those areas both public and privately zoned out there in the village today. Or what we could do is leave the conservancy district more restrictive and create a park district that would be inherently allow more of those public active type uses and then only place that zoning district within an existing park. And so really, I think that as I was trying to describe it, you nailed it on the head. It's easier to take the approach of potentially allowing for some additional uses to occur in that conservancy district as we've kind of got it on the ground right now today. We just do need to think about what possible ramifications that would have on a private land ownership situation.
Yeah, especially if you're with that now conditional use, allowing conditional use permit in that district. There's an obligation there if they're able to prove with scientific vetting that, you have to grant that.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying, if it's private, they could petition to get it rezoned.
Yeah.
Let's say park, if they wanted to do something, so I'm just trying to think, what are we really preventing if it's private property? I can see it for us if we control, but if it's private, it seems like they have an avenue to get it out of conservancy to do what they want to do anyway. And they just have to go through the zoning process and,
But the difference is that the rezoning is a legislative.
yeah, I understand, yeah.
And then we have more to say on that.
Yeah.
And then we can say otherwise you don't. Right. I think we want to leave it as a C, as a conditional, so that we have some kind of.
No, the question is, do we loosen up the rules for conservancy? Or do we make a separate zoning for our park? So there's more expansion.
Or a conservation scheme or a conservation.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Go ahead, Doc.
Do we have control over wording of how loose? So if we take conservancy land and say we will allow a walking path, and that would be it.
Yeah.
So I mean, we can limit it down, like, we can loosen the rules for all of them, but we can limit.
How loose you get.
Yeah. Do that conditional use permit. Yeah.
But I think what it's also saying is we don't have to open them up. We can add maybe only 2 things to them.
Yep.
Yeah, we have control of that. Yeah.
But for example, one of the situations here is a non-residential accessory structure. We want to allow something like that to occur in a park for allowance of a shelter or something like that. But do we want to allow that on a private conservancy land situation where they'd be able to build a storage structure on that lot? So if they're in the same zoning district, we inherently have to regulate them the same way. But if they're in separate districts, we can regulate them differently.
Again, yeah, I just, I think there's other things with the sheds. So I would not, that would not be one that I would put in there, but I think you mentioned trail. I think, you know, I don't know what's allowed in our conservancies right now. But I think if we go that route, I don't have a problem loosening that up a little bit with an understanding, and it's fair, if it's good enough for public land, why wouldn't it be good enough for private? I mean, I think it's a double standard. You know, if we're trying to say private land, we're gonna do zone differently than public, I just don't think that's fair. Why should they have stricter rules than what we're not willing to apply on our own lands of similar?
Well, we do that already through institutional type uses. So we regulate those different than we would a business type use. And that's inherently the ownership situation that dictates that, whether we call it public or private, institutional versus commercial, if you will.
Other people?
What is your?
Go ahead, Seth.
Would be helpful, because a lot of the comments on subsequent pages are about things that we're adding to the conservancy district or the conservation district. So it would be helpful to go through all of these.
Well, that would be one way to go. The only thing is I don't wanna waste our time picking out and then we decide, no, we're not gonna change it. See, first of all, you just gotta know if people are open to the idea of opening. That's my thought. And then if that's agreed, then we can go through and see what are some of the things we agreed to.
Well, I think that's a little bit, it's a, you know, how do we see a conservation district and apartments? Do we see significant differences? Or are they one of the same? And I think if we're saying, okay, the uses in a park is different from the uses in a conservation, then like we should probably split those up. It'd be easier to regulate from an ordinance type. And then in a situation where there may be a lot of gray in deciding what's permitted and what's conditional, this is simpler to have two different systems. Now, if we're saying they're kind of one and the same, and the intents and purposes of both of them are the same, then normal conditional use permit is okay.
Well, my opinion is I see them as totally different. Apart, I don't want tennis courts, basketball courts, playground equipment in conservancy areas, but then on the other hand, I see a lot of conservancy areas that we don't use, they're not utilized. And yeah, I think a walking trail, a bike trail would be beneficial, so.
Yeah.
I see a difference, but to me, I feel the easiest way is to loosen up the conservancy zoning and leave park alone, because you know.
Yes, I believe in general, in the conservation district, as we get it now, more passive use, like trails, are permitted by right, I believe. The more heavy use, the more active use, like tennis court, that require additional.
Even for a conservancy area? Okay, then I'm going with Seth. Let's just go through it and see. I didn't think that was even a conditional use. I didn't think you just weren't allowed to do it.
Yeah, it's we will do it.
Yeah, because then I'm not seeing what the
We've
difference.
proposed a lot of changes to the conservation district.
What's that?
The conservation district has a lot of changes from these last 4 or 5 months or whatever we looked at. A lot of additional entries in there.
All right, so let's just go to let's just put that one on hold, go to PDF 72.
So the first one here, number 8 under ag use, community garden, that's the change in conservation. That potentially could be allowed in parks, and so we had, referenced it in conservation as an option.
All right,
So outdoor open space. Yeah, landmark, yes, permitted where before it wasn't allowed. You provide us what outdoor.
Yeah, it's something like a cemetery, something like that. It's permitted in every other district, and it's inherently a retention of an open space type use. And so that's why I thought it could be an addition here.
okay, so help me. I don't, so you added some of these in, but what, I guess I'm trying to figure out what the planning commission did. We didn't add that
We
in.
have it.
No,
Okay,
Yeah, so whatever.
Okay.
Blue mark, that's an addition.
okay, that's the thing that kind of, okay. So these are your recommendations. Now,
the red ones are the ones that Bill added in based on your previous conversations. The blue ones are the ones that I added in, correct?
oh, okay. Because I was thinking, I thought maybe I was losing my mind. I didn't remember us doing any of it. Okay, so,
The ones that have the comments, wherever Ben edited it, he provided a comment, and so these are just making it more consistent throughout the code as suggested, and that's why we felt it necessary to go.
well, that clears up a lot of my, okay, I guess I'm not in favor as making conservation as community gardens. You say in parks, I don't mind it being in parks, but not in.
Well, that's where we run into the issue then.
Okay, we're assuming we have, listen, we only have one district. Yeah, that's right, that's over.
So let's say we were going to go to districts that would not be in conservation, and then
Right, exactly.
we would move some of these more intense uses from conservation into park, and then we actually will do more district.
And
our current conservation land.
If it is easier, I can put together a draft version of what a park zoning district would look like, if that's easier to visualize and respond to, rather than like theoretically thinking what it would look like.
No, that would be fine. Where I'm trying to get, where I'm messed up right now is, I don't know how many times Mike has told me we can't do it because it's conservancy, and I'm thinking, well, if I'm hearing you right, conservancy and parks is the same right now, so I'm not sure where that was all coming from.
Well, we can't do it because the way that it's done in conservancy is restricted.
Right, I'm proposing to allow it, whereas right now it's not.
But I'm trying to figure out, how can we put a playground in a park and not in a conservancy area when they're the zone the same?
Because they're not. Because.
Am I the only one that's too soft? I don't understand.
If you look at our districts, there are certain parts that are zoned residential or commercial because it developed within that subdivision, and we left it zoned that way because of one, potentially stormwater attributes that relate to it, and then two, that some of these active items are permitted accessory uses or permitted uses in that district. There are other parts that we specifically have zoned conservation, and those, like Xander Park, do not allow for things that we may want to do. So, for example, if we wanted to do active recreation in Xander Park, technically we have to get a conditional use permit.
What is Bear Park?
Residential.
So that's considered residential, it's not.
original.
That's crazy. Yeah, I would have thought part of Bear Park is. Yeah. I would not have thought, or a park, I would have thought it was a park, not a park.
But it's residential park, right? That's the heading, it's not residential. It's residential park versus conservancy or,
Yeah, so if there's a flooding issue, we can put a drainage ditch in Fair Park to get the water out. If it's conservancy land, we can't technically do that.
It's only residential, there's no residential.
It's just residential.
so the park is residential?
So,
That's what I don't get.
Well, I'm with you, man. I don't get this zoning.
So how can that
So
be
does it-
residential?
So technically, if we wanted, we could develop that into houses.
Well, you're gonna get phone calls.
Well, I know, how the village works.
technically, according to the zoning, only if you're looking at just the zoning, you could.
There's deed restrictions.
Yeah, Bear Park. Okay, Bear Park is owned residential.
It's the same thing.
And the Bully Park, as we call it, but Hillenberg Park, that would be residential, that's not a park. Okay, this
And
is.
so that's what we're
It's
changing.
the same as the county garage that sold. He had to get that changed into a different thing because it was zoned agricultural.
Well, yeah, I understand the change in the zoning.
Yeah, but no one changes the zoning when the governments do it, they just leave it because it's easier, I think. In the past, that's what they've done. That's my guess.
So that's why it makes sense to have these two separate ones, because you would then change like Bear Park to this park zone, right, versus,
If we were gonna go through a rezoning, we should clean all of that up, yeah.
Yes.
I think that makes more sense to me.
Well, I do too, because I'm just one confused guy right now.
Right.
Yeah, so if you look at, this is our current zoning map, and it just shows that their park is residential.
Oh, my.
Everything in our neighborhood, Asbury.
And that's, to
residential.
be fair, that is not completely uncommon. Like, for instance, the school is zoned residential too.
I was gonna say, I just noticed. the
So,
creek is our-
in a new, more modern kind of updated version of this, we would put together an institutional district and apply that to schools, parks, those types of things, to regulate them differently, for publicly owned type land. In this situation, we're kind of working from an existing product, and so I think we are kind of on the same page as cleaning this up as best we can right now. We could do that with the new park zoning district if we wanted to.
I would like to, right, I would like for you to bring in a map and show us all the parks. I'm gonna get 13 or something. And then they call them parks.
Yeah, my guess is every one of our parks has some other zoning besides parks, because there isn't one. So it's either residential, commercial, conservancy.
Correct.
Right, right.
Like Gillsway, that part is actually part of the conservancy.
Right.
But most of the other neighborhoods, it's just.
Yeah, if you look at our zoning map, all the conservation areas are pretty much intended as protection areas. All the parks, what we think about as park space are zoned differently and zoned most often into the residential as they develop with
Well, I personally would be in favor of having park, only for the added thing is we would then have an option on conservancy if we have land that we want to keep somewhat wild, but have the ability to use it for recreational purposes and make improvements without the strict things of conservancy, so.
Now looking in line with our parks and open space plan where we order conservation land.
Right, and that's why I always thought there were two categories, because they give us land for conservancy, they give us land for park. I just,
So when it's in a developed, obviously, they're all residential, so. Thanks for the question. But we own Bear Park, the village own Bear Park, and when it's at like Raspberry Park, we own that, right?
Yes,
We own it. So we still own all these, it's just that it's residential.
it's just what it's zoned.
It's all right.
Huh, very interesting. I missed all of that in that discussion.
I'd just like to know how they issue a permit for the school board to build pollution free ones, that's our board.
That's an institutional and probably was a conditional. It's kind of like when they added on to the park,
Yeah.
they had to get a conditional use permit.
Yeah, any school is an indoor institutional use, which is a conditional use in every zoning district. So technically, if the lot size facilitates it, you could come in for a conditional use in any zoning district for an indoor institutional use.
That's what we're trying to get away from.
All right, so let me just get a flavor of the rule. How many people are thinking now that we should go and actually develop a park zoning?
We need to do this the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to.
Anybody disagree? All right, I think that's what we need to do. If you can give us some samples, and then maybe Mike can give us a list of what areas or properties he feels should be under that category.
Most of our parks are, Xander would be the only one that would be like a blend of the two, which will tackle
How
when we get
about
there.
some of the ones for the hilltops?
I was gonna say.
On that map, isn't it green, the conservancy? So you have all the ones along the back of homes and stuff. We pretty much have made conservancy.
Like where the Christmas tree was, so what is that?
Isn't the green conservancy or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, that's a lot of property.
Yeah, we need to look at each individually in terms of determining which way we want to go with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But Mike would have a great starting point for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you know, and that's definitely something that we have common on the parks and Rec committee.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good project for them.
Because I know that we have bike trails, and I don't know if that. Yes, or next.
yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, I think that would be a great task for that committee to look into. Good job, though. All right, so does that kind of takes care of quite a few of these, as Seth had mentioned.
Yeah, there's some other ones in here, on PDF page 72 here, there's some suggestions in, mineral extraction district. We had added, permitted for gas and outdoor recreation. Essential services and then small scale public services. Then if you wanna talk about why these were added.
Yeah, I mean, passive outdoor recreation is exactly what we just talked about, trails, walkways, things like that. And if extraction zoning, or property with extraction zoning, they can discontinue the zone or the operation and they reclamate the property, then I think a passive outdoor recreation use would be a logical use in that district. Essential services, that's just things like utilities, basic utilities and things like that. So you can see it's allowed in every other district, and same with small scale public services and utilities. And those are not really anything, you know, I'm not opening up Pandora's box at all. That's just basically the village providing utilities and being able to utilize the private property to do that. So I thought they were minor changes that I've worked on 4 different zoning code rewrites over the past couple of years, and those are areas that we've changed that are different than what you have. But
All right.
and I don't think they're massive changes, but just
Does anybody have any questions or concerns on those?
We don't have any mineral extraction areas though.
Yeah, we do the mine up there,
Okay.
the quarry, I guess.
Yes, oh, that's not on the mineral extraction.
That isn't?
Is that in?
That's how. Actually,
No, the part that's in the village.
the part that's in the village is zoned currently as light industrial and housing.
Oh,
We changed that zoning as part of this.
oh,
Oh.
I thought we left it. Because they wanted to blast out of there yet.
So then how would you use that as a passive outdoor recreation area? I guess it's my confusion. They're extracting minerals.
He said after they were reclaimed, right?
Okay.
Or fix them.
Yeah, in most cases, mining operation needs to be fenced all the way around.
Right.
And if it's active in that use, then that would be something that a passive recreation use wouldn't make sense. But if a portion of it was open to that kind of activity, and there was somebody who wanted to go walking trails on it. I think that,
Someone who had a big chunk of land and they weren't done mining it all out, but they were
Right.
only in this back corner.
right,
The rest, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Anything else? So we're good at keeping that in?
I think so.
All right,
So the changes in red, those are the ones that we had discussed previously in regards to the arrangements. and,
Yep.
As required by law. for this month. All these sections in red were the ones that we discussed.
well, not only discussed, but approved as a committee at the time.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. And there was a question on 17 here on indoor maintenance service. I think Mike, Slavin was gonna look into what the definition of this was.
Which one are you at now?
Number 17 on page 73. The indoor maintenance service
What does it mean?
under commercial land uses.
Facilities where maintenance service is provided, including repair and operations, are located entirely within an enclosed building, but this would not be vehicle-related repair land uses. That's a separate land use.
I do remember that
Some of the
discussion.
examples we used were like small electronics, stuff, appliances.
Yeah.
Okay, because those are no like health.
We want to talk about any other items on here that we previously discussed.
On the previous page, we talked about, okay, we said we were good with the Ps in the mineral extraction, but where did we land on the Ps in the conservation area?
Well, I think I've put all those aside until we know what we're gonna, how the park one is.
Right,
So that's kind of how I was looking at it. We just
That makes
skip
sense.
those until
Okay.
we can see what that district would look like.
yeah, I think we would take the base of what we have right now in the conservancy and compare it to what we would put in the park and just compare and contrast that way. Yeah.
Get on page 72.
What's that?
When we get on page.
Yeah, I think
Yes,
so.
sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. That's what it's all about.
How about page 73?
There's the comment at the very bottom that's looking for, so that is want to consider another zoning district, so.
Yep, so this changes, this is that whole legislative versus judicial decision-making process. So if we were to create a separate zoning district for it, it would become purely legislative. Whereas currently it's allowed as conditional use permit in the general industrial, which.
We don't have anything zoned that. So essentially, right now, we're doing exactly what I've recommended. So I looked into that further today, and I don't think it's probably necessary at this point unless we start zoning more land general industrial, because then that opens up the possibility for these uses. But as it currently stands right now, someone would have to request a rezoning to general industrial to allow that use, and that's exactly what Bill's talking about.
And I remember when this was all going through, I know City of Madison was in the middle of the lawsuit where you have to have an ordinance and you have to have at least one spot zoned for it, or they found it unconstitutional.
Right. It has to be a permitted use or an allowed use somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So as long as we're good with that and we don't have to do it, then I'm fine. If it turns out we have to do it, then we do it.
Yeah, that was
We'll have to
something.
just keep up whatever state law is required in our case law.
Yeah, that was just, I looked into it a little bit further today and found out that we actually have solved the problem so far. So I think we're good.
Good. Anything else on this page for anybody? All right. 74. Transit Center.
So, yeah, so the Canada Center is recommending that it be allowed as additional use in the light industrial, district, situation that there is an opportunity. Examples are a bus stop and or parking lot, which makes sense.
Makes sense to me. Anybody concerned with that one?
I'll stop, actually.
Unless it's on public property, like if it's in the right of way, then we wouldn't, then the zoning doesn't apply. But if we put it on, or some private entity wanted to do it on their, on the land that's outside of the right of way, then it's technically a use that we need to allow, yeah.
Everybody okay with that helicopter being in the rural holding? Okay.
That's what I was discussed.
Yeah, we discussed that.
I know.
We're buying helicopters, not me, but. I'm gonna put one in my backyard, and it's gonna get across the creek.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy that lot from a neighbor.
Anything else on page 74?
Okay, so on page 75, just a couple of notes here, taking conditional use to permitted for residential chicken coops. This we currently offer a license for, so it's not technically conditional use permit. So we made that change. And then also there was some discussion at the village board level about allowing for residential chicken coops or dense properties. Family. I believe the Hartman was going to bring that on through
But help me out. I thought, I thought this was something we were gonna just wipe off the whole zoning thing and just make it by license. And then the license would have all the requirements and they could be changed, quicker than a zoning thing. Do we have to have this in the beekeeping in a zoning, or can we just, because we have an ordinance that has all the restrictions to it, so does it have to be in here?
I don't know what your municipal ordinance looks like related to this. I think for consistency's sake, it would make sense to leave this as a permitted use with just in each district, you have to use the license. And I'm guessing that most people, if they call Bill or someone else at village staff, they're going to direct them straight to the license and not the zoning ordinance. And so I don't think it's necessary to take it out. I think for consistency's sake, if someone's referencing it, having it in both places isn't terrible.
Yeah, so it's a necessary use, and by stating that it's permitted in my license, you're explicitly stating that it's allowed. If you don't include it, there may be just some discussion saying that it's not allowed. So we do the same thing with like solar panels. So we, in here, we list them as all permitted accessory uses. And we actually we only do the building permits for that unless they're requesting for a special permit. But by putting it in the zoning code, it's based on that property zone that district, you are allowing it whether by right, by condition for that license. There's actually a section in the zoning code that says that if it's not listed, that it's the assumption that it's not allowed.
Oh, it's not allowed? Oh, I thought it was.
That's the catch-all.
Well, so for Andy's concern, to expand it all the way across, I mean, I guess we can do that if it's still licensed and then we have the requirements. My concern is, and I think the majority of the board at that time was looking at the rules say that you have to have permission by the owner and the neighbors have to all agree. So, to me, I don't know you know, a duplex, I could understand how they could probably get away with it, but I'm not sure how an 8-unit apartment
Yeah, so,
could meet the requirements of the licensing.
yeah, our licensing is pretty detailed restrictive.
Yeah.
So once we get an application, we do send out a notice to all properties within 200 feet. And then 50% of those judge that license is automatically confined. Now, if we do grant the license and there is a complaint filed, and there's a hearing immediately after that, and the village board will decide whether or not to suspend the license. So it's.
But there's also requirements on setback,
Yeah, so
you
for.
can't have them inside,
Correct, for actually keeping it, there's actually a section in the zoning code that requires that the run needs to be built a certain way, to a certain size, and certain setbacks and distances. And then there's also an annual report. So there's it's pretty restrictive.
And they have to tell their neighbors, right?
the village actually has. So do we want to just expand it across? I mean,
Because then if it meets it, yeah. I would just say,
I think that would take a little thing off of Andy, at least on the sense that at least it's permitted. I'm trying to figure out what the drawback would be.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you have say, apartment complex, larger than 4, I don't know if you'd be even able to put a chicken run on that property.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's why it was the way it was, because why give someone saying that zoning, they can do it, but then when you get to the rules, there's no way you're gonna pull it off.
Well, in the property, in a rental situation, the property owner has to allow for it.
Right. What's everybody thinking here? I'm okay with just putting P's across.
And you can limit it other ways, if it's already limited in other ways, it's not that it's had, it already is.
Right.
And we can remove the license if someone will try it.
And it's, these across for residential districts or?
I would put them across to all of them.
yeah.
And it's 4 chickens.
But it would also say it's, the category is called residential chicken coop, so it should go. in
Oh, I see.
Non-residential districts,
Oh, gotcha. I see what you're saying.
so just the remaining residential.
Can we just change it to just chicken coops? Or let's just do it across residential. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's just keep this thing moving. It's so insignificant. So put it across anything that could be residential. All right, anything else?
Next question, where is this short-term residential rental, and we did, I can remember talking about like an Airbnb or whatever else. But what about if it's long-term? Is this just a short, is there one that does say they want to keep it?
Well, there's rental property.
Okay.
I think this is short-term to take the 1 day.
Oh, if we want, if I don't want to rent it, I want to rent it for a weekend.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my understanding when we talked about it.
Have you guys already talked about it? I wasn't aware.
We did it one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we actually talked about it as a primary use under commercial.
But here again, it says short-term rent, residential rental, so why do we have it under all the commercial, industrial? Can we just pull that out of those?
According to state statutes, if there's a dwelling unit, you need to allow the ability to do an Airbnb in it. So in some cases, my guess is that we have some commercially zoned property where there's a single family home that would technically allow for this to occur. So just going all the way across the board is the safest route. In most of the industrial commercial districts, it's not going to apply. But in the situation where we have a different zoning than what's on the ground, then we need to allow it.
All
So
right, I'm okay with that. Anybody else have any concerns?
It's allowing it as a accessory use.
Correct.
All right, last one.
All right, so the first one here is the temporary farm product sales.
Right, so this is your little stand at the corner of a parking lot to allow for somebody to sell pumpkins, for instance. Just saw it was kind of a glaring oversight to not allow that in the mixed use districts.
So do like Girl Scouts cookies fall into this?
No, I don't think that's a farm product.
Well, I remember there was this big blowback from administrators having to limit Girl Scout cookie sales on the corners because they weren't zoned.
Isn't that under temporary outdoor sales?
Yes,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
This would inherently, yeah.
Common sense applied to these
It
things.
was, yeah, it was a big thing amongst my peers, so. It's.
All right, I'm
The farm
okay.
is covered somewhere, I don't wanna go out there and force someone out.
Right.
First of all, I would not ask you to do that.
Well, do we want temporary outdoor sales and temporary farm product sales to be in the same areas or no? Like there's no business park light industrial?
It's a good question. I'm not sure why. they are where they are.
If you can sell a pumpkin, you could probably sell a Girl Scout cookie.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Why don't we have it in business park or light industrial? But yet we do farm product.
Yes, we can change those too. I think it's probably a product of the situation where in industrial districts, there's often less outdoor sales associated with a business. And that's probably why it wasn't included to begin with, but
This is added to those two, make it consistent.
That's where we can have our rock stands.
Yeah, there you go.
That's only.
there you go.
So there's a comment on here then about temporary storage container or permitted for residential property. This is separate from non-residential property.
Is there a definition of a temporary storage container?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, and when I looked at it, it said it was exclusively for residential. So that's why I kind of flagged this, because there might be situations where we would allow it in a commercial or an industrial district. And if we want to, if we're taking all this time to clean stuff up, cleaning that kind of language up, it might be a simple, quick fix. The reason it really came to the forefront is I work in this same capacity for the Village of Mount Horeb, and recently they didn't have any way to address this situation, so they kind of just had to allow it. And it was an industrial user who was near downtown who wanted to store stuff in one of those shipping containers, but for a long period of time. And so we didn't really have any way to say yes or no to it. So we kind of just had to say yes to it. And so I want to avoid that kind of situation here. They're becoming more popular. As everybody knows, building materials are expensive and those shipping containers are not. So if we want to have some sort of regulation around it, we should just create another temporary use for them specifically.
Well, but then if we're gonna do that, then you gotta make it a C.
Yeah.
With a P, that means they are.
No, I agree. I was just suggesting that we separate the two. So the residential, like moving containers, I don't think anybody has an issue with. But for the commercial and industrial, those types of storage, I think we would want to regulate those separately. Yes.
I'm okay with that.
But then make it seats, you're saying.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The school district's on compliance. I have pods up there for music. At all the schools, because they have to practice outside because of the mask mandate. So we keep all this equipment inside the
Well,
pod.
that's, you just saw it, no, you're zone residential, so you're good.
I
Right? Then you point that out that you're residential.
Yeah, I guess I'm residential.
So you're all right.
I think it's 14 days.
Again, I would not probably have those classified as storage, those would probably be training, educational.
Are you in them like actively,
Every day.
you're teaching in those?
No, we're not teaching them, they just store the equipment in them for band, they lose them.
Oh.
We had to buy tents to put up, so
Okay,
then they practice outside, so then they put the music stands and the chairs in the
yeah,
storage pods and bring them out to set up the. outdoor
oh,
classroom
okay,
every day.
okay.
Because.
We're hoping to get them out by November 15th unless the weather doesn't change as fast as we think it's going to.
I don't think that's one we're gonna worry about.
No, I don't think it's going to change in time anyway,
No, but
this, I mean.
No,
So,
no, and hopefully you'll be back in actual family. Well, once the mandate comes out, right?
Put an
exception in for performance.
Well, they did, but then you gotta buy bell boots to cover it, and then you have to play through a slip mask. Well, how do you put a bell boot on a piccolo?
Yeah, we're going way too deep. Way too deep. So, yeah, go ahead and pull it out and give us a recommendation on the language and everything. Well, then, the last one we have here is farmer markets.
And how is that different from temporary farm product sales?
I'm guessing it's the number. I think
Okay.
one is where you just have a stand out there. You see some of them for like firewood and stuff, you know?
Right.
I think this is where it's actually advertised as a farm, like we do Wednesday, and you have a line of,
Okay.
Yeah, so farmer's market generally consists more than one vendor, and so generally would have more traffic surrounding it, so there's concerns about safety and traffic there. So here's the debate of whether or not we want to encourage more of these things, as we've seen as a community development tool and economic development tool. But does it necessarily need to be a conditional use permit where they have to come in and get it approved, or do we want to do it by license? And our recommendation would be to by license. Site plan review done at the staff level and then issue the license.
yeah, I'm for that. You guys comfortable with that?
Yep.
Do we charge for the license?
Well,
Some are, you know.
we charge for licenses in general, and the village board has the opportunity to update that resolution. But I can tell you that right now, the current farmers market that we have does not have a conditional use permit, we just get permission. It's on private property, so the process is necessary. Technically, the property owner is supposed to come in and get permission.
So this
I
might
think
be,
it's simpler to just get a license, and we can, our licenses are not that expensive. The only license is about 10, 15. Yeah,
would they need a license then every time they wanted it? It would just be one for.
Yeah.
One person.
yeah, right. Usually a calendar year they go.
And by licensing it, would that mean it would get removed from the zoning stuff? No, would just,
No, we would just, no, just like the chicken license, we would just come in.
We make it a P, so
Okay.
it's permitted, and then they would get a license. So they don't have to come for a
Right.
conditional.
So they call Bill, they go fill out that paperwork and they're good to go. Otherwise, they'd have to wait a month and come before this body and have a public hearing to do it.
okay, so this might be a moot point because we're considering an additional park thing, but if someone wanted to have a farmer's market at Bear Park, like there's a lot of room there and stuff, but they couldn't, even if we switch those to permanent things, because Bear Park is residential. Is that a moot point because we're gonna make a new park zone anyway?
Well, I think it's a valid point, but I think we will take care of that by this new zoning, because, you know, my dream would be to have a farmer's market down in Xander Park.
Yes.
You know, where people walk, they're right there downtown, the businesses, the creek, and, I mean, if you really want, that would be an ideal place you know. So, yes, I think we'll definitely address some of that then, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, good point. Anything else?
So
So,
we did miss one thing, actually, it doesn't have any, page, PDF page 72,
yeah,
there's a comment that did not relate to, no, sorry. Yeah, the indoor institutional, there was a comment about the change to permitted use in the mixed use districts. That was from Ben, yeah, I don't think we talked about that. We went from the conservation rate to those.
yeah,
Used. And this was one that I would have a question on, Richard, I guess the concern I have is just with some of the institutional uses of the jails and the prisons, that's one of them. But then even like the nonprofit, fraternal organizations, and stuff, would that be like the Legion?
Yeah.
So like, if we make it permitted, are there any concerns with?
I personally like
Oh,
the
I see.
conditional use. I think that's such a broad category. I like it the way it is.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's
It
just,
was just a way that could potentially expedite some nonprofit coming into the community and being able to open up shop right away or something like
no,
that.
I know where you're coming from, but you could get a lot of bad things to come in that is permitted in mixed use, you got residential and stuff like that, so.
Mhm.
I think we should keep it as conditional. I can't remember the discussion on this. Yeah.
We had discussed.
No, that's a good point, thank you. And again, anybody, what's other people's feeling? Like, to me, we're doing it in all those other categories, the one more. All right, we'll keep it then. So, I don't think we need to take any action. We will probably at least bring back the parks one after it's gone through Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, so as far as process here, so there are special steps that need to be taken whenever we amend the zoning code.
Yeah.
We have to go for the hearing. And notice it. So in addition to the land use table, I think this is going to impact some of the language that we have in other sections of the code, whereas we list in those specific districts which ones are allowed as permitted condition. So there's a repair that we were to do for that. And so eventually you'll see all of the code, at least those sections or articles with code is 300 pages small.
I know it.
We'll try to make it as simple as we can, but then because the fish, yeah, so we'll take care of that as part of this process. So it's not gonna be something that we're gonna turn over by the next zone plan commission meeting, but I'll continue with that.
My whole thing is I'd start working on the stuff that we kind of talked about, because we gotta wait for the parks one, because that's gonna modify things. Yeah, if we can set a goal to have this done by February, I'm happy with that. Because you got the holiday season coming up, and it's gonna take some time.
Yeah, I'll do the short-term residential rental, the temporary storage container, and get those at least for us to look at next meeting, for
Okay.
models anyway. As far as the park stuff, that's probably gonna take a little bit longer to go through the Parks
Okay.
Committee first, but we could attack some of those other little ones on our way in here.
Sure. I mean, you think you could have it by the December meeting, or is the holidays gonna screw?
For the parks,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't see why not. It just, Bill, Mike and I probably gotta get together and we'll figure it out, but yeah.
and I'm never opposed to cheating and just copying someone else's.
Yeah, that's the beauty of us doing so many zoning codes. I got a model sitting sitting there, ready to go, so.
Any other comments at all that people wanna? All right, sounds like a plan. Great. All right, do I have a motion for adjournment? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. So moved. Thank you very much. Good meeting.
Process question for you, Bill. How do we request that on the agenda for this meeting? Okay.
I'll be with you.